Welcome to MAISHUU Mucci. This week, I have a question for you.
What is it?
I am a student currently in your Management 80 class, and I saw that your strategic business planning project is due soon. How should I go about it?
Here's a thought. Why don't we start a business?
That sounds good.
Okay, we'll just walk through it. What kind of business you want to start, Katherine?
I currently live in Japan, and I noticed all the Japanese women are always carrying combs around with them.
What kind of combs?
Just simple combs.
Okay, so we want to import Japanese manufactured combs and sell them in the US.
Yes, I thought that would be a good plan.
Okay, do we want to do that through a retail store or we want to do it online or both?
I want to start with an online store first.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to start this business, Katherine. What do you want out of it? What's the ideal future? Several years from now, what do you want this to look like? The ideal future would be that it's going to grow, right? You want to get it started, make sure you have a product that people want to buy.
Yes.
And you want to then continue to grow the business through more sales channels. Online's a sales channel, in stores a sales channel. There you go. Through multiple sales channels. There you go. That does it. Okay, so let's talk about the current assumptions in the comb business, right? Why are Japanese women so obsessed with having a comb?
In Japan, I feel that maintaining your personal appearance is very important.
I believe in Southern California it is as well. People like new things. They like a new way of doing things. They just, that's just kind of the evolution of retail, right? And so, but you need to have a population that's particularly interested in their appearance.
One thing I noticed about the combs, you can buy a variety of combs with like cute designs, and a lot of people really like cute combs.
There you go. Okay, so we'll call it a designer comb right? Okay, but the current assumption is that young women in Southern California, appearance is important. So just up there in A1, just appearance is important. And current assumption is we're focused on young females. Right? With an interest in, what's the word I want to use? Personal appearance. Okay. So that's what we're looking at, that group. Okay, so now let's talk about the mission. So our mission would be that we want to create and sustain a business that provides artistic value for personal hair care. Okay? That's what we're focused on that. There's lots of ways people can do that. They can take care of their hair, but we want them to use a comb. So it can't be a generic comb. It's got to be a comb that has something unique to it. So let's go over here to the right now where it says customer expectations.
All right.
Customer expectations, cute.
That's
right?
true.
Isn't that the word you use? Cute. It needs to be cute.
Yeah.
Right?
And also, I noticed the combs they use are always like small and portable.
Okay, small and portable. And the third thing would be Japanese. Because you have to have some uniqueness to it. Then, it's just like people like Italian fashion. I mean, most people don't go to the store and say, like to buy something, some gown made of a Polish designer. They're usually in there talking about Italians, right? And Japanese culture is pretty ingrained in Southern California, and it's a culture of superior products. Late 60s, early 70s, it was cheap products like China. Over these decades, people think of Japanese products as a premier product, along with the German products and some designs from Italians. Right? Okay, so that's customer expectation, right? So down below that, we're going to say competitive threats. Generic comb. Right? I don't know there are any designer combs out there. Combs are there, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So that's really the only threat that I can say. Well, the hairbrushes, that's a threat. So one of the things that we need to talk about is that different cultures have different hair and different styles. So African American hair is typically a little bit different than, let's say, Japanese hair or Italian hair, right? They're just slightly different. And so I know in the African American community, they have combs that are specifically designed for their type of hair, right? So, we're need to kind of focus on what type of hair is women's Japanese hair thicker than normal?
They have thick hair.
Okay. All right. Let's go over here to the far left. Strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. Our strength is, what do you think our strength is, Catherine?
Our strength is that it's Japanese, and a lot of people like Japanese products.
So one of them is we're intimately familiar with Japanese culture. Right. Number two, we've started other businesses. It's not our first rodeo. Number three, we have the resources to do it. Resources available. Weakness. A weakness would be weakness in our enterprise, right? This is a new product for us. So we're going to have to learn. We have to learn about the uniqueness of the product and whether people are going to like it or not. So weakness number one is it's a new product for us. One advantage that we have is both of us are intimately familiar with Southern California.
That's true.
Both of us are intimately familiar with Japan. So that's one of our strengths, actually, but we don't need to put that in there. So what other weakness do we have? Let's see. New product for us. Starting from ground zero. Okay, I should take care of that. So what's the opportunity? Number one opportunity is to create a fashion trend. The threat is Japanese stores in SoCal, Japanese retailers in SoCal. So right next to I know in Southern California here, because of Patricia, we've gone to a bunch of Japanese retailers, but I never looked to see if they had combs. We're going to have to look to see if they're already in the marketplace and, how we can improve on that. So the SWOT analysis is basically gives us some indication of what our probability of success. And so at this point, weakness is we haven't done this before with this product. Our strength is we're intimately familiar with the Japanese culture in Southern California. And you have to have an intimate knowledge of the market you're trying to serve, which we both do. Right. And we've done this before with other products.
Jim, I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the boxes over here, do we have to fill in all the boxes, or
No.
is it okay
No,
to
no.
leave some empty?
No, you don't.
Okay, thank you.
If it's not a key issue, you don't need to fill it in.
All right, thank you.
So the question now is what is our source of competitive advantage? Number one, intimate knowledge of Japanese culture, intimate knowledge of Japanese HABA, health and beauty aids, HABA, that's code for health and beauty aids. Those are our advantages. So now let's go over to key success factors. What are the key success factors we have to do? Number one, we have to identify the SoCal demand for this product. Number two, we have to find a source at a cost that's appropriate for the market price. So what we pay for something has nothing to do with what we could sell it for. So if I go into a Japanese retailer, here in Southern California, or in Little Tokyo, and that comb that we're talking about sells for $20, and you can source it in Japan for $5, and I can figure out how to get it shipped for $5. That means we have it here for $10, which then means that we could sell it online. We have some marketing expenses we have to go through, but yeah, it's pretty good margin. That we could make money at that. But if that source, if the retail market is 20 and the source is 19, we can't get there from here. And that's where we're going to identify this before we go all through the rest of it, right? And it's to introduce the utility of our product to consumers. That's number 3. We got to tell them that we have a better mousetrap. Critical issues facing the enterprise. Number 1, intimate knowledge of the consumer demand. Number 2, intimate knowledge of the basic transaction. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so general strategies, go down to general strategies. A strategy is a long-term thing. So that's out several years, right? Like long-range plans and strategies are about the same. Plans are more specific. Our strategy is to create a fashion trend in SoCal. So as an example, if you go down to Huntington Beach, beach communities, there's always something new going on that kids are interested in because it's a cool thing. Oh, you got one of those. I got to have one of those. Right. So we want to create a fashion trend in SoCal.
That's true. It spreads easily.
Right. Number 2, we need to identify our target market and contacts. So as an example, for nurturing neurons, a product we're working on now with Grace's Clinic, we know, and this is a program for helping K through 12 kids do better in school, feel better about themselves, feel more communal. And so who would we be communicating with? 1, parents, or 2, the people at the school, principals, nurses, psychologists, teachers age, teachers, right? And so we've acquired, because those are the people that influence what children do and fund what services children get, is we targeted them. And we've been collecting contact information from them. So now Shania and I are working on a flyer that's specifically designed for the principal or school, specifically designed for a mother, right? Specifically designed for a school counselor. So that when we go to send these flyers out, they're not generic. They're tied directly to the situation that a principal would be dealing with, or a situation that a nurse would be dealing with. Put in parentheses there, good customer. You have to identify what's a good customer. And the third thing is multiple sales channels. It's LRO1. We're a bunch of different ways. We're going to start out online, right? So long range objectives, document the basic transaction, parentheses, profitable. Okay. Number 2, identify the number of people we can encourage to purchase our basic transaction, or the basic transaction. There you go. So the key, so if you go to the bottom of the thing, go all the way down to the bottom of the slide. All right, see right down in the lower right-hand box, the green thing? We're going to take one comb. Let's say the comb costs $3. We're going to sell it for $3, right? And we're going to buy it for $1, landed in Southern California. That means our gross margin is $2. And our promotional costs, running the store, our online store, all the promotional stuff, the acquisition of data, contact information, is going to cost us $1. So then our net profit would be $1. So that means we have a 33% net profit, which is a pretty good number. And that's by comb. So that's, go back to the top. Go back up to the top, right there. So that's the basic transaction we have down at the bottom. The question number 2 is, how many of those can we execute? So we worked on a coffee shop, right? And so we said, okay, we're going to charge $3 for a cup of coffee. And it costs us $1 for the materials and, the sales and marketing expenses of $1. We can make $1 for every one. So I then said to the class, how many can we sell? And one of the students worked at a coffee shop in Long Beach. And she was selling 80 an hour. So on a 4-hour shift. So 80 times 12, right? Times $1 tells you how much money you're going to make in that 4-hour period. And that's N, right? So at the end where it says transaction, put parentheses N for number. Okay. So in research as an example, how many samples you have, it's N is the number they use. So that lower box on the right is a single transaction. And then the key is how many of those can we do? Because if we could sell one, can't really sustain a business selling one. Right. Okay. And the long range objective is to implement unit channel distribution. That means we're selling online, we're selling through retail stores. Okay. Short range objectives, something we have to do in the next year. Right. Number one, we got to identify a source of the, and cost, source and cost. Number 2, test the market. We got to put some out there, see what happens. Number 3, develop promotional plan. Action plans, key activities. Number 1, visit local or SoCal Japanese retailers. Okay, visit and research. There we go. And number 2, assess the economic viability. Management by objective is something that's going to be assigned to you and something that's going to be assigned to me. Okay, so number 1, put my initials, JAM. Visit Japanese retailers. You can't do that because you're not here.
That's true.
You're in Japan. MBO number 2, Katherine, identify a source of the combs in Japan. Number 3, Katherine, identify shipping costs landed in Long Beach. Number 4, research number of young female Japanese in Southern California. Okay, basic transaction. What does that comb go for in Japan?
Like a few dollars, maybe like $2.
$2? Okay. All right. $2. So put $2 there. Okay. And so we would need to buy it probably at 75 cents or, landed. So put 75 cents down under cost of goods sold. And a gross margin is 1.25. Right? And 50 cents for sales general administration. And then net profit would be 75 cents. And so now we have to figure out how many of those we can sell. Now that price that we have, that price there on the basic transaction is going to depend on what I find. Right. So one of the things you can do is you can look on the internet and see what you can get them on Amazon here in SoCal. Or maybe I could, because you wouldn't get the same Amazon I would.
Actually, I have access to the American Amazon.
Oh, good. Okay. Then you can do it. Because you know what the product we're looking for, right? I don't
Mhm.
at this point. So there you go. That's how you do it.
And how do I figure out the market value?
Simple. Okay. Go back to market value. The market value is the net dollars, 75 cents,
Mhm.
0.75 times N, the number we can sell.
Mhm.
And we don't have the answer to N yet, do we?
We don't. I see. Okay, we finished the chart for strategic business planning. So thank you so much for helping me in the project, Jim.
Yeah. Happy to do it.